one infinite spirit, one God. It is the creator of the heavens and the earth. It is the King of kings. It is the beginning without an end. It is the power of a roaring hurricane and the gentleness of a purr of a kitten. It is the greatness and diversity of the entire universe, and yet the simple complexity of a budding flower. It is the wind beneath all flying wings. It is the grace beneath the fins in the great sea. It is all God. It is beautiful. It is in this oneness that I know myself, for there is no separation. This infinite spirit and every power that it is me. It expresses itself through me, in me, as me. This is true for me and for everyone in this great gathering. It is all that we are, all that we have always been, and all that we will always be. All powerful, inner knowingness, unconditional love, unlimited potentiality, and richness beyond measure. We are the never ending creativity, the beauty, the peace, the joy that is spirit. For my mind and your mind is the mind of spirit. So I simply speak my word in great love and claim for myself and everyone in this class unconditional love, an opening up of ourselves to be the love that the world needs. I know that we are all led to great support in all our endeavors, overflowing abundance and supply in all our affairs. I cast the burden of guilt, pain, doubt, and unforgiveness to the Christ within us and declare each and every one of us free to love unashamedly, to be happy and harmonious. I know that the doubt and the fears we may experience from time to time are only showing up to be released and to create more room for the full blossoming of spirit within each and every one of us. I am therefore so grateful for this loving time that is Froggy Friday. I am grateful for Mommy Froggy, Reverend Connie, for bringing us together in celebration of love and joy of sharing. I'm grateful for the technology that is the internet and Zoom, allowing us to share and spend time together, even with the distances. My heart is glowing with gratitude at the beauty, joy, and love that is Froggy Friday, our special place, our special reservoir to recharge and refill on love and togetherness. I now release my word into the creative law, knowing that all the desires of our hearts are already given under grace, that the love and joy of Froggy Friday is already ours, and we all receive it, for it is the will of God. It is done. And we all declare and say, and so it is.
And
So it
so
is.
it is.
Woo!
Come on, girl. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. That
So
feels
Blushing.
good. That feels good.
you take
Oh,
it in, girl. You take it
yeah.
in. That's beautiful. Thank
Oh,
you,
that's incredible.
Irene.
See, I'm glad I wore my button today that says God is good all the time, because that's what you just said, baby. Hey, we've got Beth Williams in the house. We've got Kareth in the house. So good to see you. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you. Well, welcome to Froggy Friday. Today, we're going to talk about superstitions. You've all heard Stevie Wonder say it. Very superstitious. Woo! Writings on the wall. You know what I'm talking about. Superstitions are those long held beliefs that appear to be rooted in simply mere coincidence or cultural tradition rather than logic and facts. You know, those things that our parents and our grandparents left us, and they left them to us because their parents and grandparents left it with them. Our ancestors didn't come up with superstitions because they were less educated or naive than we are. They created superstitions because they lacked many concrete ways to influence the survival outcomes of their lives, how they would survive. So by a show of hands, how many of us believe or have believed in superstitions? Come on. Somebody. hmm So, okay, so thank you. I'm not the only one. Thank you, thank you. I'm not the only one. Believe it or not, superstitions offer a way to feel like we're more in control, the same way that they can if we allow them to do that right now. And that's why highly educated, sophisticated people such as ourselves still believe in superstitions. In reality, most superstitions are fun and they're harmless, whether you sincerely believe them or not. But did you know that some superstitions can play into our mental and spiritual health conditions? And this can happen when? Why? When we give them our power. When I was growing up, my parents filled me with dozens of superstitions that I often still think about, and I carried them into my adulthood. And some made me feel happy, some made me feel scared, some made me feel frightened if I made a left turn instead of a right turn. You know what I mean? So thankfully today in my life, I'm able to recognize what superstitions are. They're those old belief patterns that either I felt protected, inspired, or judged, controlled by my actions that changed my direction, all because I believed in superstitions. So hands in the air. Have you ever heard? And I think maybe some superstitions in Kenya and some in the States might be different than what we have here in Canada. But have you ever heard on knock on wood? Sometimes if you can't find wood, you knock on your head. Throwing salt over your left shoulder, walking under a ladder, and that broken mirror, what is that going to give you? 7 years bad luck. If you step on a crack, whose back are you going to break? Your mother's. When you see when you see a penny on the ground, you pick it up and say, oh, a lucky penny, lucky horseshoes. What about Friday the 13th? Why do we say God bless you when we hear a sneeze? When a bird hits that window, does it mean you're going to get a message? And here's the thing. That's what my mom told me. When a bird hits the window, you were going to get a message. Your parents, grandparents may have told you it means something else. A left itchy palm. Come on, give me the money. That's what that means. Right palm, I'm going to shake hands with a stranger. And when you're in a room with a group of people and you mention someone and that person walks in a few minutes later, well, that means that they're going to have a longer life, doesn't it? What about when your right eye twitches? When someone, and you're thinking about someone you haven't seen or talked about in a long time. They're fun and entertaining, right? A superstition, simply, the dictionary says, it's a belief or a practice resulting from ignorance, fear of the unknown, trusting in chance, and a false conception of causation. I think and now believe that a superstition is just a widely held and unjustified belief in something that can cause leading me to think certain consequences of an action or event, or that a practice based on such a belief can change my life direction. It's like a horoscope too, right? So what causes superstitions? I said it before, there's I think, two main causes: cultural tradition and individual experiences. If you grew up like me, steeped in superstitions, you're going to carry those beliefs forward, even subconsciously, unconsciously. We create them, and they were created because we want more control or certainty of what is that driving force behind us. We tend to look for some kind of a rule or an explanations for why things are happening. Kareth, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sometimes we create a false certainty, and that's better than no certainty at all, right, Duke? So here's the new thought spin on things. Consider this. How about being superstitious about this teaching? And instead of using the word superstitious, try inserting and using the word mystic. Ha-ha! Spiritual mystic. How does that feel? As I mentioned, in a positive, trained, and skilled user of our own minds, we can become the mystic. Controlled thinking, not being controlled by the beliefs because of what someone else says, but believing because you are educated, you are informed, you are aware. In this teaching, Jack, I want you to know, we don't teach you what to think, but how to think. That's a mystic, is a thinker. So what does it mean to be a mystic over a superstitious person? Well, a mystic is someone who claims to or believes in the possibility of attaining insight into the mysteries transcending ordinary human knowledge by direction and clear communication with the divine. In other words, when we are connected to the one, we are informed, directed, guarded, guided, not frightened, not threatened, not judged, or even condemned if we make a choice to walk underneath that ladder instead of walking around. Ernest Holmes had a true understanding of the spirituality and universal connection. He said, when we understand spirituality as a mystic, our viewpoint is one's recognition of the universe as a living presence of good, truth, beauty, power, peace, presence, love, all of those God attributes. And ours is not just a simple neutral universe, but a loving one full of goodness and truth and beauty and so much more. In this teaching, you're going to hear us use a lot. If you're new to us today, George, you're going to hear us use the word consciousness a lot. Well, consciousness is just another word for wisdom, friends. For Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, we espouse that he says spirituality is about practice, not just theory. He says for every science, there must be a technique or a way of proving its truth. Can we actually, when we think about it, prove any of the superstitions? Or do we hear them and we make it happen? We must lay even more stress, he says, Holmes says, on the use of the science of mind than we do to seeking the establishment of principle. And the first thing that any student of this teaching should do is to make daily use of that practice of using that principle. And in this, as with all other things, it should be practical. Too much study of anything, of any principle, without making conscious use of it, that means practicing it, practice what you preach, it's going to lead to just being stuck in our heads. Too much theorizing. You know what I'm saying? Can you relate? Friends, if we don't investigate and dive into what we've been following for years blindly because someone else told us, we will never discover the truth. We become mindlessly, unconsciously walking through our personal lives, waiting to see if we walk under a ladder, a bird hits a window is really going to make our day worse. Stepping on a crack is really going to break your mother's back. Holmes believed, and I do too, in blessings and goodness over hardship and challenges. The will of God is never towards suffering, never. We must constantly reaffirm our focused belief in the infinite goodness if we expect to get rid of that idea of negativity. And I'll even use the word evil because that's what those superstitions create. We remove them and exclude them from our thought. God is goodness. God is good all the time. Meister Eckhart, he said, whenever we speak of God, of creation, we're talking about goodness. And Ernest Holmes said, God's will is always towards life and more life. Life wants to live. The life within you is God. Whatever is true of God is true in your life. And so since your life and the life of God are not two, but one, This life within you being God did not begin and it cannot end because we are immortal and eternal. The God within you is truth. The God within you is beauty. The God within you, Philip, is harmony. The God within you, Christine, is wholeness. Every apparent imperfection when we follow superstitions is from what we experience as a result of being ill-informed. God is life. And I know that there is a power for good, which is responding to me and bringing into my experience everything that is necessary for my unfoldment. I know there is a power for good that enables me to help others and to bless the whole world. Gwen, will you bring up the lyric to that song? We need to sing a song. We need to sing a song. This is a song by Erica and Lisa. And if you know it, you can sing along. There is just one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now. There's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now. There's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now. Gwen, go. You're muted. There is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is, go ahead, Gwen.
There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Ted.
There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. When we understand, thank you, Gwen, for singing with me. I love singing with you, sister. When we understand the difference between superstitions handed down to us through the generations that no longer or ever really did serve us, as long as we hang on to them with that idea that they control the outcomes in our lives and not the conscious living idea of knowledge, wisdom, information, which, by the way, in the word information holds the word inform within it. When we are informed, we begin to understand that each of us is an individualized center of the consciousness of the one God. And I know Reverend Beth knows this. Religious science is dedicated to teaching an absolute idea of all union that is its source. The whole process of evolution is a continual process of awakening. It's an understanding of this indwellingness which constitutes the Spirit of God. Yes, yes, everyone is an incarnation of God and is a unique incarnation. So I want to encourage you. To be curious, to be informed, to be inspired for what works for you. Reverend Claire, she serves this community. She teaches, she serves, she's inspired, she's inspirited. And I'm still aware, I'm not going to lie, of my instilled childhood traditions of superstitions. They get me because I think about them. However, I know that I'm now in control of my outcome. So not some random fly by the night fear-based notion. I'm choosing my creativity. I'm claiming my power. And I want you to also know that these same laws that engage us to claim that power, to express our creativity, that we use when we're connected to spirit, if we're not focused and clear and directed, they can also cause, I'll use the word suffering on us. And here's what I mean. We can use our minds to be happy or unhappy. We can think peace or confusion. We can be loving and kind or disagreeable, all because we are free, right? We're created to have this freedom. And if we weren't, life would really have no meaning. We have choice. So everywhere we look in our own lives and the lives of others, we see and we witness and we can observe if somebody's not using this power wisely. I'll give you an example. For instance, I recently read, and this is going back, the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb. It could destroy civilization. Yet, atomic energy runs machinery in the world. We're finally discovering that the very power that makes us sick is also the same power that can heal us, and the very things that bind us can set us free. And that the imagination we use to deplenish our happiness, when rightly used, could cause situations that could make everyone happy. And while this meaning and the difference between superstition and the mystic, the right and the wrong way to use it, is all within us. Still, friends, that power is greater than we are. Fear, limitations, it's not to be projected onto any person or place. In spiritual mind practice, fear is never treated as an entity. And anyone who's a practitioner on this panel or a minister, we as ministers and practitioners, we never deal with fear as though it were big or small. We are careful not to claim it anywhere in any person or any group of persons. So remember, my friends, we are broadcasting stations constantly. Our thoughts, our feelings, they broadcast like radio waves to others. And that's what we're handed down in these superstitions. Because if we're not aware, it's true, we are unclear receivers and unclear receptors, but we can choose to respond in an informed and educated and connected way. I'm going to wrap this up and say, Holmes recommends that we learn to tune into the mind of God, which is free from any fear or doubt. We do this how? By prayer, by meditation. Mental fear is resisted by, mental fear can't come into a whole and happy mind. The quickest and most effective method to get rid of fear is to quiet yourself and lift your whole thought and confidence, just like Irene said in her treatment, in confidence and faith to something that is bigger than we are. Ultimately, God in all things should be loved, trusted, rather than feared. So the next time a mirror gets broken, or the next time someone sneezes, or the next Friday the 13th rolls around, which is August this year, I want you to smile. I want you to breathe. And I want you to remember that you are a child of the highest of high, and you deserve and you are worthy of and consciously aware of your connection to the one. You must just release and let it go. Let's sing, Gwen.
Nice lead in. Thank you. Hang on, I'll get there.
This is a song by Ricky Byers. You will all know that she is one of my favorite. It is called I Release and I Let Go. I'm going to do an intro, and then if you know the chorus, you can sing along. There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged and you're struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let go, let it all just go. And this, my spiritual Kenyan family and beyond, is what you have have to say. Give me hands. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Reverend Gwen.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for, you better tell somebody, God. On that high note energy, it is my joy and my honor to introduce to you one of my most favorite people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of your licensed practitioners, one of your ministerial students, your future leader, Christine.
Yay!
Oh. Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. Gwen, what did you want me to say?
This is your chat. This is your 5-minute power talk.
Oh, okay. And I'm talking about, okay. So my name is Christine and I'm a practitioner at CSL Kenya. And I want to thank you so much for, and I was going to talk about treatment and how it has really opened me up. When I joined the Science of Mind, I really had a hard time learning how to do the treatment, and I really had hard time getting the steps together. And every time I would get mad at Connie. Every time she would ask me to do treatment, I was like, Connie, why are you doing this to me? Like, why can't Michael do it or will Kista do it? And she was like, the way to learn how to treat is to treat. And I would always get the steps wrong. And at sometimes I would say, like, I'm not even going to come back to this class. And I would cry. And when I reach on the road going home, and I look at Michael and say, Michael, I'm not going to come back to the class. And she was like, why not? Because I'm not getting the steps right. Why is it I'm the only one who is not getting the steps right? And I would feel so bad. And Connie, one day she called me and she told me, like, what is the problem? And I was like, I feel bad because I'm not getting the steps right. And I feel like that is where everything is not like unfolding for me. And she was able to take me through it, and I was able to understand. And I think she told me, like, if you're not able to, I think it was Susan Berry. Susan Berry was my practitioner who was helping me out. And she told me, like, if you're not getting it right, then use your hands. Like, make sure, like, when you are doing the treatment, say, this is God. So this is the process of recognition. This is the process of unification. This is the process of realization. This is the process of gratitude. And this is the process of releasing it. So it didn't make sense in the first time, but now when I went to class, and I would, every time I was doing treatment, I was just like this, so that I know which step I am at. And when I was able now to understand it, everything was just unfolding. I felt good. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to do treatment. I'm still learning how to do it every day is a day of learning, and it has been a beautiful journey. And in the science of mind, it is the only power that we have. Like when we learn how to do the treatment, it is the joy. And I know it was like a struggle because of where I was coming from. I was coming from a place where I understand to pray for to a faraway God. And this is a place where I'm connecting with God within. And it wasn't easy. But when I realized this, when I realized that God is within and the treatment works, especially when you know how to do the steps right, it's amazing. It's miracle. It's love. It's joy. It is peace. I found peace, and I'm so happy because now I'm doing it. I know the steps. Now I don't feel bad. If you pick up on me, I'll say, yes, it is my honor. I'll do it. But in the beginning, I was like, no, Connie, why can't Wilkista do it? Why don't somebody else do it? Why are you just picking on me and you know I'm not good in it? And I remember even when we were being when our practitioners, when we are being paneled, I told Connie, I'm not going to do this. Like, seriously, I'm not going to do this. You mean they are going to ask me to do treatment? And she said, yes, you have to do it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to take that practitioner. And she said, yeah, that's your problem. You have been in class for all this time. If you don't come, that's your problem. And I couldn't believe that I was the first person to come. And I was, let it be what it is. I'm going to treat. And it was beautiful. So what I want to say that during this Froggy Friday, I'm so happy and I honor Connie because she was willing to hold my hand. As much as I felt like it wasn't, but she was willing to support me and to push me out of my comfort zone. And it has just been an amazing journey. Now, if you ask me to treat, even in church, in the other religion, I'll treat. I'll not pray, I will treat, because that is now my new power and love. And it is the best way to go. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Christine. Thank you for shining your light and sharing. That is so beautiful. And yes, Connie was a warrior and she pulled all of us. As you know, she was my first teacher in this teaching as well. And she pulled and supported and embraced and loved and challenged me. So she was a beautiful gift. And we're all here for you for the exact same reason. So we have a couple of things that we want to do. Gwen, do you want to pass on the one thing we were going to do for another time?
Yes.
So let's do our affirmations and then we'll open the floor up.
Okay.
So the way I love to do these affirmations is I love if you unmute yourself and we are like popcorn popping in a pot, just jumping all around. So unmute yourselves, unmute. You too, Pat, you too, Irene, George, unmute yourself, Duke. Everybody just unmute. And we are going to say these affirmations. I trust in the process of life.
I trust in the process
Trust
of
in the
life.
process of life.
I release all fear.
I
Release all fear.
I am willing to release my old patterns that no longer serve me.
I am willing to release my old
Release
patterns
my
that
no longer serve me.
I choose to live in the present.
I
choose to live in the present.
So what I love about when we unmute and we say that is when we say things together, there's power in them and we solidify them and we embody them. I'm not worried about the background noise because those are frequencies that are moving and it's our real life living situations. We've got things happening in the background all the time, but we're able to focus. And when we focus, that's what we're talking about. Life happens. All the good that we want happens, that we draw in.
We're in the eye of the storm, Barb. We're in the eye of the storm. Yeah.
Eye of the storm, she said, the hurricane. I loved it. Loved it. So let's open up the floor. Are there any questions or sharing that anybody would like?
How about our new people, Jack and George and anybody else that's new? Yeah. Feel free.
There's no right or wrong, just right or left, baby.
For me, I'm happy to join the class, the Science of Mind 101. I'm quite new on this, learning how to do meditation and doing affirmations every day. Meditation seems to be a little bit difficult, but I'm learning how to do it. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun in the last couple of about 5-6 weeks of classes, and yeah, happy to go the whole way. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here, George.
Thank you. Thank you.
And however we can serve you, you let Reverend Gwen and I know, and our powerful team of warriors are walking this walk with you all together. That's what we're doing. How about you, Jack? Are you just engrossed with your beloved by your side? And do you have a plethora of questions that we can answer, or has she answered them all already?
It's a process. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. It's a place of growth, coming from different belief systems. This is obviously my first one. I like what I'm hearing, but it's a journey, and I am willing to walk this journey. Yes. And thank you so much for the lesson tonight. That was awesome.
Well, I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah.
And you're not alone. We're all here to love and support you on this journey for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Irene, you feeling better now? You can breathe.
That was a beautiful treatment.
It was a beautiful treatment.
Reverend Claire, how you doing?
Patrick, I just wanted to point out something. Connie picked on Christine, and look how magnificent her magnificence shines. So me picking on you is just, you know, part of the legacy.
I'm honored, and I want to point out that Philip is trying to say something.
Okay. Philip and then Reverend Claire.
Oh, you go to bat for your son. I love it. What would you like to say, Philip?
Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm feeling up for it. So talking about superstitions, we have one in Kenya that when a black cat crosses your path, yeah, you just have to turn around and go back your way.
What happens? What happens if it crosses your path?
It's just superstition. I don't know even what happens, but when a black cat crosses your path, you just have to go back. And I remembered the story when Reverend Barb was sharing. There's a story about a certain lady who was preparing a type of fish. So she cut the head and the tail, and she served the husband. So the husband was so curious, why are you cutting the head off and the tail off? And the head is the most nutritious part of the fish. So she said she doesn't know. Her mom was doing it. So they decided to call the mother-in-law and ask her why she used to cut the fish on both sides, both ends. And the mother-in-law said, I don't know. My mom used to do that way. So they decided to go back and see why that was being done. And when they called the old woman, she was so old now. When they asked her, she just said, I used to cut the ends of the fish because my saucepan was too small for the whole fish. So they just continued doing it without even knowing.
And it became tradition, right? It became their tradition. And that's how these things are created. Philip, that's a great story. I'll remember that. And I knew that story. Reverend Claire, what do you think about superstitions? Bye, Christine. Thank you for everything, sister. I know you've got to take off. Love you.
Thank you.
It was a great message. I am in a lovely place I found looking out over the lake with the geese and their babies. And a beautiful morning to listen. And I think when I think about that, I think one of the superstitions we have is that as we get old, we get weaker and can do less. And what if that's not true? What if that's just a superstition that our parents told us, and so we believe it? And what if we just choose to believe something different? So that's what I think about when I think about superstitions, is the freedom we have to choose to think something different.
It is freedom.
Free will. That's the free will. That's beautiful. Thank you, Claire.
How about Lamac? Let's hear from Lamac.
Oh, sorry. I
oh, somebody's got their hand up. Sorry. Oh, maybe not.
Okay, can we do Beth, Lamac, and whoever had their hand up? Are you willing to share, Beth?
So the thing that came to me when you were talking about that is just that it's done to us as we believe. So if we believe in those superstitions, then yeah, maybe we have to turn around because the black cat came and now I'm late to my appointment because I had to turn around. Or if I think I'm going to have bad luck because I didn't bend over and pick up that penny, then I probably will have something happen that will confirm my belief, because our beliefs are so powerful. So just taking the time to be more aware of what it is that I believe and where did that information come from, and is it really true? Is it really true with a capital T truth, or is it just something that I made up or somebody else made up? And then being really clear about what I choose to believe.
Yes, love it. Great addition. All right, Brother Lamech. Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much.
Nice to have you here, Beth. Haven't seen you for a while.
I'll just say that I was supposed to be on another Zoom call for a whole other thing, but I wrote the time down wrong in my calendar, but I had made time in my work schedule to not have to be there. So here I am. So I'm happy it worked out. Yay.
Thank you, God. Lamech, let me see you, friend. I want to see your beautiful face.
We hear your beautiful laugh.
As usual.
You need an IT person to help you get your camera on?
Hi, Lamech.
Really?
What do you think about superstitions today, brother?
Where do I start from? Okay, for me, I could think of a superstition, like I could put it in a kind of the old belief I had and the new belief, simply because we know, like for example, back here in Africa, there are some beliefs that were instilled in us that we still believe on them, despite the new thought, the new mind and all that. But today I choose to believe that it is done unto me as I believe, and that is the capital truth, and that's it. Yep.
Yes, yeah.
You and Beth are twins today. Who had their, thank you, Lamech. Who had their hand up?
Did somebody have their hand? There we go, Duke did.
Duke. Thank you, Duke.
Yeah, I can, okay, let me make some a certain point about, okay, I had Reverend Wen saying, Reverend Bab saying that the corn used to be. To me, I do say that corn is within us. I don't refer as being away from us, or she used to be there and now she's not there, but I feel always she's around. So about the superstition, in our tribe, Lamech can be my witness. In our tribe, men used to tell women that when you kill a hen, you don't have to eat, women don't have to eat the backside of of the hen. So when I tried to follow up what happens when women eat that part of the hen, I came to realize that these old men who are using this as an excuse, so that because the back part of the hen has a lot of meat than the other parts, and it is very delicious, it is very sweet. So they were denying women from eating that part of but it wasn't bad for women to eat that part of the hen, but it is just, it's just a belief. They believed, and they decided to follow what their husbands were telling them, because when their husbands were going far away, when they come back, they were, kids are not supposed to eat this part, and kids are not supposed, and the women are not supposed to eat this part, because they knew that women and kids are always there with the killed hen. So they decided, when they go far away, when they go for 2 days or 3 days, when they come back, they must find that part ready, preserved for them. So it's just a belief, and if you can go, we can think otherwise, as the new sons of as the new metaphor of the new learnings of the sons of mine. Some of us, we have changed from that. I can tell my wife, it is not necessary for you to serve me with this part of the hen. You can also share. You can also share it with the kids. So it is not a must that I, the father of the kids, or I, as your husband, to eat this part. I'm not only preserved for this. Even kids can eat it. I don't have any problem. So sometimes she said, why? But it's because we have gone into deeper details of this learning.
It's right.
And we have learned a lot, and it is helping us to know, to be enlightened, to know.
And you're right. You're right. And
in
so
this
Paul,
teaching, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Paul, when we come to your house, we now know that we'll be eating the back end of the chicken.
Yeah. and also, Reverend Bob said about the blinking of the eye. When sometimes your eyes shakes, is in our tribe, we believe that someone, maybe a close relative, is going to die. So to avoid that, you just pinch that eye, which is which is vibrating, so that you avoid that close relative to die. So it's just a belief.
And now we know it goes on and on and on. I think that what we're creating with this science of mind, like I said, this teaching, what if this teaching was our new superstition and we become the mystic and we become the all-knower and we get to change and transform and transcend our lives? That's exactly what I feel like you're saying, Duke, and all of us.
And in this teaching too, we invite you to question these old thoughts and question these old habits and have a look at them and see if they're serving any purpose. Yeah.
Well, you guys, our time has come to an end. I hope that you all know, no hoping, that's out there in the ethers. I know that you all know how loved and treasured and cherished you all are. Reverend Gwen and I and our board, we just adore you. We appreciate you. Reverend Pat, thanks for coming on board. Reverend Claire, thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. And to each of you, George, you are a newcomer. Jack, you are a newcomer. We welcome you. We love you. And Lamech, and Nancy, I saw Nancy pop on, and Paul, who serve and in such greater capacities, and Christine, and Irene, all of us, we're all part of the village. We're making new superstitions. Stevie had something going on. Very superstitious. What if we sang very, very mystic, writings on the wall. Go forth and shine the love and light you are. Peace and blessings, everyone. Next Froggy Fridays in 2 weeks, and we have a special presentation.
Yes, be here. We have a special presentation, and we need to celebrate.
Yep. Okay.
Love you all.
It's a secret. Love us. Love you.
Love you guys. Good night. Good day.